Hello, everyone. It's Jeremy Thiel here from DriverCheck. In our next segment, we have John Brown, who's the Vice President of Business Development with Impirica. Now, as some of you know, DriverCheck and Impirica have started a partnership, which is very exciting and brings a lot of value in ensuring safety in the workplace. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Impirica, Impirica is a leader in performance-based impairment testing, whose mission is to create safer communities through the fusion of science and technology. Impirica offers solutions for proactive risk assessments in the medical, commercial transportation, workplace OHS, law enforcement, and cannabis industries. Now, I've known John for some time, and he works very intimately within the transportation industry, and he helps them find proactive solutions for mitigating risk. So welcome, John.
Thanks, Jeremy. Great to be with you.
Great to have you here. You've been involved within the trucking industry for many, many years, and I know you have a lot of different stories. Can you share with us some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing in the trucking industry and what they're faced with today?
Yeah, actually, we recently did a market survey with a number of the companies that we serve, and as well those within the industry. And we asked them what were the top challenges that they were facing. And we kind of identified 5 top challenges. Well, there was a number of them that different organizations were facing. There was 5 that stood out as the key ones. The top of the list was driver shortage. Companies are finding it hard to fill positions and to find qualified drivers for their workforce. I think that really then ties in with the second problem that they're facing, which is an aging workforce. And they're seeing drivers are starting to get to a place where they're nearing the second half of their driving careers. And maybe even moving towards retirement. And then I think the third one that we see a lot is the issue that really relates to incidents and the cost and the time that they see when an incident takes place. And all of the effort and energy that the organization has to focus when an incident takes place. The 2 other ones that come up regular also would be the cost of onboarding new drivers. And then I think the other big one, which I think all companies are facing, is insurance rates are increasing. And those are really what the key challenges that we are seeing within different organizations and that they're struggling with on a day-to-day basis.
And now do these results like shock you or surprise you at all?
You know, having worked in the industry for the past 7 years in safety and training, and I would say no, it doesn't shock me, because while I find there's challenges that are unique to each company, these identified challenges continue to be pervasive across the commercial transportation industry. And they're even more prevalent in trucking specifically.
Okay. So I understand that driver shortages is at the top of the list of challenges. But what specifically is the challenge? What are the challenges with driver shortages, and what are companies doing to address that?
Yeah, you know, the backbone of the transportation industry has been some amazing men and women, honestly, over the last 18 months during this pandemic, who have kept our economy moving. And what we see, though, is that the core of the driver population are in that second half of their careers. And many of them are either at a place of considering retirement or they're moving into retirement. And there's not enough younger drivers who are replacing those who are leaving the industry, which is causing this or fueling a driver shortage, really. So my philosophy is that we need to invest in the drivers who are driving a business. And if we can invest in the current driving population to ensure that they are fit and healthy, we will be able to prolong careers and ensure that we can address one of the areas that is fueling this shortage. This really is going to mean that we're going to have proactive approaches to supporting drivers to continue driving for as long as they're healthy, fit, and willing.
See, I really like that, John, because we're talking about extending people's careers, making them longer, being a contributor to society, should someone choose to, right? There's a lot of people who like to retire early, but that's where, when we've talked previously, understanding that being proactive, uncovering potential problems or illnesses can at least be addressed. And then that way, these people can continue on their careers without having to shorten them if they're not addressed soon enough.
Yeah.
So my next question is, with the aging workforce, and this is a great segue into it, how can companies help with ensuring driver health and therefore prolonging their careers?
Yeah, I think it's really a changing of focus. And it's putting the focus on the health and the wellness of the driver and how we can create proactive steps for evaluating health and fitness to drive. You know, due to the type of work that the transportation industry and operators are doing every day, they're prone to medical conditions that could impair their ability to drive safely. And most of those medical conditions could easily be remediated with regular intervention. Yet, when they're left unattended for long periods of time, what it really can mean is that driver could have a severe or adverse medical condition that could be impairing their ability to drive safely and may even remove them from the workforce. So, you know, in my work, I advocate for helping organizations and their drivers identify those conditions before they become unmanageable, so that they can continue to play a productive role and continue to contribute to their organization.
So, John, you've shared so many different stories with me over the years, and the common theme that stands out, and this is specifically tied to your Accelerate program, but it's actually saved lives, which is awesome. Can you share one or two of those stories with the audience today about how Accelerate can save lives?
Yeah, I sure can share a couple of those stories. So one really sticks out to me, and it was a driver that worked for a company that was going cross-border into the United States. And this was this organization's most experienced driver. He was their best driver, and really was kind of like that driver that you put up, and he's the one on the wall with the different plaques that they really looked up to because his safety rating was amazing. But all of a sudden, they started to have some reports of close calls. And the dispatcher even noticed a change in the behavior when interacting with this individual, to the point that they were quite concerned about what was happening. And so they actually identified and said, you know what, we really want to send you for an Accelerate assessment. And doing the Accelerate assessment, he scored on the spectrum of extreme high risk. It was actually the highest score we've ever had within our organization. And so they took the score to his family doctor, and immediately the family doctor started to do some different testing on him. They started to investigate. And the doctor actually called an ambulance and sent him to the hospital because this individual needed a heart bypass surgery that day. And so because the organization was proactive in their approach to try and assist this driver, it actually saved his life. And I think the beauty of this is that driver, after a time of some healing, of coming through that surgery, was able to return to work. He was able to be proactive within his organization, and he was able to contribute and continue to be a good driver within the organization. Had that organization not been taking that proactive approach, I think there was a strong chance that driver would have lost his life. And I think there's a strong chance that that organization would have lost one of their best drivers, who's now working for them today.
Okay. Yeah, every time I hear that story, I love it.
Yeah, it's a great story. And you know, it really speaks to what it is. But you know, I had one just this week. It was interesting. We had one this week where it was a different organization that we were working with, and they had a driver that was undergoing periodic testing. So they were set for every 3 years that they were going to go through an evaluation. And so they went through their periodic evaluation. And again, their Accelerate score raised a risk flag for this individual. So they sent him for medical testing. And the funny thing about this story is the driver was like, I am healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. Everything's great. I'm the, you know, complete perfect bill of health. Well, he went to his driver or to his doctor, and his doctor was like, you have severe hypertension and we need to get you some medical support right away. And they did. They got him the proper medical support, and that driver was able to come back to work. And the beauty of it is now is he's like, this program helped me. It helped me to be a better employee. It helped me to be safer and also to take care of my personal health in my life.
And great share. It's interesting because a lot of us think we're healthy, well, we're feeling great, and through a proactive approach, you're able to uncover, some very dangerous medical conditions. So we talk about driver shortages, we talk about aging workforce, and when you piece it all together, I know organizations want to, how do we keep healthy bums in seats at the end of the day?
I think it's the question that all trucking organizations are asking themselves. And it's interesting, there was a study done by an American trucking association. And they did kind of a survey to say what was the main contributing factors to having drivers stay within a workplace for a long period of time. Basically, what was the factor that led them to have long retention rates within an organization? And while there was many different factors, one of them that was profiled was the ability to have a healthy cognitive ability in the workplace. And really, this kind of ties back to the idea that drivers who have healthy cognition are more likely to make consistent decisions and will be less likely to move from one workplace to another. And so they're more committed to that place where they've invested their mind, heart, and energy into.
So I may have jumped the gun a little bit with our conversation, and I should dial it back. Can you explain to everyone what exactly cognitive testing is, and
Sure.
What role does that play in improving safety of an organization?
Yeah, so cognitive testing looks at the capacity of our brain. And it's interconnected with our cognitive skills as it relates to driving. And our cognition encompasses everything that we do on a daily basis. The way I like to look at it is the average commercial driver has a 5-gallon bucket. And this 5-gallon bucket is their capacity to take in all of the stimuli that they experience on an average day. So they're out on the road and they're experiencing sirens, they're experiencing speed, they're experiencing traffic, they're experiencing drivers that don't maybe realize that they can't stop on a moment's notice. They're experiencing all of these different stimuli. And the average healthy brain will be able to process all of that and make smart and healthy decisions that keep them away from having incidents on the road. The problem is that an individual who has maybe a cognitive deficit, they have a limited capacity. And it's possible that on the average day, they could drive and there would be no major issue, but maybe that on that particular day, there's extra stimuli. Maybe they had a fight with their spouse that morning. So they're thinking about everything that's going on and there's that extra cognitive load that is now causing them. And so what we see is what we call a cognitive overload. And it's when all of the stimuli are too much for the brain to handle. And then that's in that moment where we have those, whoops, what happened? I don't know what happened. I didn't see that thing, or I didn't process what was going on, those are kind of like that cognitive overload in that moment. So what we do is we have a set of cognitive tasks on a mobile tablet. I actually have the tablet behind me here. And it looks at the skills required for safe driving by engaging the brain in the same way it would be during the course of the act of driving. And the outcome provides predictive risk of driving impairment.
Okay, thanks for that description, John. That's helpful for all of us who, cognition testing is a fairly new concept, and I know the innovation is creeping up, and although Impirica has been around for 20 plus years, we're hearing more and more about companies looking into cognition testing. And to go back to two of the other points you had discussed earlier about some of the challenges being faced, it's onboarding new drivers and insurance rates. So the sorts of programs that we're talking about, we know they improve safety, but do you see an impact on insurance rates or how companies can actually save money by reducing the costs for onboarding?
You know, Jeremy, there is definitely an increasing trend of rising insurance costs, and fleet managers are looking to find a way to reduce the impact on their business. And we have seen in fleets when they've implemented Accelerate as a part of their assessment practice that they've seen a reduction in incidents that has led them to not seeing as high increase in their insurance premiums or payment on deductibles. And I think, you know, the place where we've really seen this as a huge benefit are those who are fleets who self-insure.
Okay. And when we were talking the other day just about insurance in general, rarely do we see it going down just out of good faith, right?
Oh,
So
no.
again, what I'm hearing the message is proactive approaches, right? So if you can instill healthier programs, healthier drivers, obviously you're going to have less accidents, and therefore your insurance rates will not be skyrocketing, but at least keeping them static at bare minimum, right?
Yeah, and we've seen, you know, fleet managers who have been able to sit down with their insurance company and using the Accelerate program actually demonstrate the active steps that they're doing to mitigate risk. And that has given them that I guess, increased confidence within the company's ability to ensure that their drivers are safe.
Okay. So now this year's theme for the Fitness for Duty Summit is take control. As you can see, well, wrong side. And the whole purpose of the message of take control is we want to empower individuals and employers and provide them with the knowledge and ability to make positive changes within their organizations today, right? So what can people do today to make some sort of immediate impact on the health and safety of their drivers or themselves and ultimately the operations?
So at Impirica, we believe in the philosophy that if a risk is not measured, it's not managed. And so really my recommendation is to invest in the talent that's driving your fleet and look into proactive solutions that can help you measure driver risk so that you can respond before the risk manifests. And there are very easy steps that an organization can do today to begin to take control. Impirica, as well as DriverCheck, are here to support companies in this approach. And that's really my mission, is to say, how do I help companies address this issue and put simple solutions in place to help support them?
Well, this has been a pleasure as always, John. Love having these conversations. I love and believe what Impirica does. The reason why DriverCheck partnered with Impirica is because we see the innovation that's taking place, the role that cognition can play, not only today, but in the future. And so looking forward to many more discussions. We've had Impirica on some webinars before, and those aren't going to be slowing down. So you'll probably see John's smiling face again. And John, thank you so much, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Jeremy.